Welcome to Totally Awesome Outdoors. You join me on a fairly mild December day. It's right near the end of December at the moment, and I'm back at base camp. Just a little quick camp update really. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to hopefully film a few videos today, but just on a camp update, I'm going to finish the wall, the fire reflector behind me, finish that one up, and I'm going to restring this one over here just to tie the support sticks a little bit tighter because it's starting to get a little bit loose. This one's been up for quite a few months now. So just a little bit of a kind of update, and if I get enough time I might make myself a pot hanger or something like that. Okay, so as you can see, here is my unfinished wall. I've got the A-frame there, I've got one finished fire heat reflector there, and this is more of a wall than a heat reflector, but it's also actually a bit of a windbreak because the wind does tend to come in from that side. Those of you who've watched my previous videos, I have my fire just down here usually. So yeah, gonna finish building up this wall, and what I'm going to use for it is a little bit of string. I do use paracord, but personally I don't really want to waste my paracord. It's fairly expensive, so cheap ball of string will certainly last me the season holding these support sticks together. I'm just going to just weave them and pull these closer together, just so that, because the more logs you put on here, the more pressure it's going to put on these sticks. Okay, finished that one there, and I've also finished that one there. And in my A-frame, those of you who watched my last camp update video will remember that I didn't quite finish this wall, so I've kept a few of those logs back for that wall just to finish up. And I also always keep some dry sticks in here. Every time I finish coming out to the camp, I'll go and collect some dry sticks, purely for this reason. We've had lots of rain lately, and those sticks are now nice and dry, so I can start a fire. So let's build this wall back up and then update the fire reflector over here. And there is the finished wall, and actually I have to admit, people, I'm pretty pleased with that. Obviously in the summertime I hope to do an overnighter here. My A-frame's looking a bit sorry for itself. That's mainly because I've used bracken over the top, and obviously it's winter now, so the bracken's died back. But you can see that I've got a nice enclosure. I'm probably going to shut off that corner as well with a small wall, which I may or may not do today. I just have to be aware it's quite lumpy there with tree roots coming out. It's fairly raised, but just to stop any wind coming through there. And I hope to have like a pot hanger around here. So as you can see, I'm slowly building the camp together, but I don't think that looks too bad at all. And I've put the support string in place. I need to update this one, take that paracord off there and put some string on instead, just to save a bit of money. We're all about saving money. But yeah, pretty cool. I'm liking it so far. Right, let's update this one over here. There we go, all done. Secured that end there. Secured that end there. Just with a bit of string, guys. To be honest, in hindsight, I know it doesn't look great with white string. I'd probably prefer to use green string. I had the green paracord, but let's face it guys, you can never have enough paracord. So I've taken that paracord off there because I can use that for something else. String's cheaper. You can find string really cheap nowadays in Poundland and pound shops and things like that. It's fairly durable. Probably, obviously not as durable as paracord, but it's strong enough to just hold those supports together. In hindsight, maybe in the summertime I'll go get some green string and update that and see how these walls are doing, but to me I'm pretty chuffed with it. Camp is coming along nicely. So here's camp from the back kind of view. You can see the bracken still lasting well there, and there's the old walls there, nice and enclosed. To be honest, I might even add another wall just along there just to keep it all enclosed, but so far that's looking pretty good. Guys, if you find yourself having leftover paracord like this, rather than just kind of, you know, wrap it up into a ball like so, or just, you know, scrunch it up and put it somewhere, you can actually definitely do something with it. You can make a paracord bracelet and put survival things in it. Like I've got one with a whistle in that's integral within it and things like that. But it's just a better. I'll show you basically a better way that you can store it rather than just having it like that. Let me show you. Okay, so I have with me here carabiner clip, and all you do is basically like a cow's hitch, I think it's called, or a half hitch. You just make a loop with your paracord like so, push it through your clip like that, then bring it over itself and back through. So you pull all that lot back through, and then just pull that tight like so. This is how I do it anyway. I'm basically going to do what's called a cobra weave. Fairly simple to make once you know how to make it. So I want my cobra. So this is now where you decide how long you want the actual bit of paracord to be. It could be the whole length. Well, it wouldn't be the whole length of this because you have to double back on itself. So it could be half that length. But I'm going to do it about that long. Yeah, about that long there. So that's probably 4 inches, I'd say. I want 4 inches of paracord coming off there. So I'll turn it around like this, and then what you do is, you've got a left hand here and a right hand side here. So you tuck this underneath here, like so, pull it through. So you've got a little loop on that side, and it's gone underneath there. So you can see it. You get this side, which is your left hand side. It's now going to go under there, put it through, over and back through this loop here. You've got to kind of hold it all together, and then gently pull each side so that these loops eventually, if you pull them enough, will go tight. There, that's the first start. Now you have to remember which side you did the loop from. Okay, so I've done that kind of first cobra weave, and I can see that my first loop I made is that loop there. So now that was on the right hand side, this side, so I've now got to make it on the left hand side. So I go underneath, let's put it out the way so you can see. This end then goes under there, and through the loop you've just made there, and there. So it's kind of like a figure of 8 almost. Put it tight, and as you can see now, there's my second loop that I made on that left hand side. So I'm going to have to come to the right hand side again, go under, put it all out the way, under this one, and then over and through, put it through, and put it tight. There we go. Now again, I can see I made that loop on the right hand side that time, so I'm going to have to come on the left hand side, underneath, get the next one, go under there, and over, back through that loop, put it through, and pull through there. You can start to see this cobra weave pattern coming through now. What I'll do is I'll speed this up. I'll do one more for you. Under there, through the loop, pull. You can start to see it coming now, this pattern. I'll finish this off in fast motion, and then I'll show you guys the end product. Okay, there's the kind of finished bit. I can't go any further now, otherwise I'll come up onto the carabiner here and I won't actually be able to make the weave. So all I do now is, with a knife or a pair of scissors, be very careful, I'll cut about there, That's one side. Come this side. You want to be really careful cutting stuff with knives, guys. Use scissors if you can. And that side there. Now I can either leave that as it is, or what I'd normally do, because to save these from pulling through, these tag ends from pulling back through, is I can get a lighter, which I don't actually have on me at the moment, and you can just light those ends, and then using the, as it burns down towards there, using the back of the lighter, you dab it down and it basically seals it against itself on there. And this can now, you know, I've now got quite a bit of paracord stored there, which I can now clip onto the back of my backpack, like so. I can clip onto, you know, my waist belt, if anything. I can put it on my belt, anything like that. It's just a great way of saving some paracord and being able to store it in quite an efficient way. Let me show you a paracord bracelet I made a while back. Okay, so here's one of the paracord bracelets I made a few months ago from the same paracord, as you can see from the olive green, using the cobra weave that I just showed you. I just had some leftover paracord, and actually what I've made, it looks like a normal bracelet, but this can actually save my life one day, because on the underneath here where the two clasps are, I actually have basically a survival whistle. And all you need to do to blow that whistle is just pop the catch there. There's my bracelet, fits on my wrist perfectly, and there is my whistle, and I'll show you that now, how loud that goes. Okay, so here's the paracord bracelet, just there, and here's the little whistle, and I know you probably won't be able to hear it as well on the camera microphone, but... So guys, little tip there, if you've got any leftover paracord, you can do it with string as well. To be honest, I've done it with string, I've done it with leather lacing. It's great fun to practice when it's a rainy day and you're indoors. Have a practice doing some cobra weaving, it's great fun. And it just saves you from wasting any leftover paracord that might get tangled up and get into a mess and things like that. I actually put them on my zips, on my backpack and things like that. You never know when you're going to need paracord. There's a good amount of paracord on this, and this one I just made here, I'll now untie for you, just to show you how much paracord is actually on this 3.5 to 4 inch bit of paracord cobra weave there. I'll show you how much length of it is there. The great thing about cobra weaving is that you actually, when you do the weave, is you're doubling up the line, the paracord on itself. So you've actually got more than you need. That's why it's clever, because it doubles up on itself and wraps around itself. So for example there, looks like I've got about 1.5 to nearly 2 feet. But if I undo it like that, it's double that because it was folded on itself. So from here, that's where it starts, all the way to there is about 3.5 feet, nearly 4 feet there. I'd say a good 3.5 feet, 3.5 feet, all from, you know, a tiny 3 inch, 4 inch cobra weave. I can get that much. Now if you look at my bracelet, if I can find it, there, that's double the length pretty much of the one we just made that I showed you, which means that's going to be nearly 5 to 6 feet of paracord. You know, you can do a lot with that paracord. If you're, for example, if your tarp ridgeline is broken and needs repair, you know, you can fit up to 6 foot nearly on a paracord wrist bracelet. So it's really, really good way of storing some extra paracord. Just found something quite interesting, guys, is if you don't, I've just retied this, kind of, well, attempted to retie it again from where I just pulled it out with you guys. And if you look, if you don't melt the end of your paracord with a lighter or something like that with a bit of flame, you can see that the actual cordage comes through and it slips back from its kind of sleeve, protective sleeving. So it's definitely worth actually putting a flame to the end of these, you know, cutting that off and sealing it. And you can see this one here that's on my bracelet where I've actually sealed it there, and that now cannot push and slip back through here because it's kind of made a mushroom effect on the top, which stops it pushing back through here, and it also stops the cordage coming out like this and you basically losing all your actual strength to your paracord. So just a little tip worth noting there. Well, I've just spent the last pretty much 2 hours with the old Bolding Barco Laplander, which I've done a review of, by the way, just using this to cut out 4 pretty much trees. As you can see, just from the width of the blade, I have to admit it's a very, very reliable saw. Takes quite a bit of time to get something that big. That's about the maximum I would cut with this saw. You can tell by the width of the blade. So I've chopped 4 of those. The idea is that I'm actually going to make a seat. So I've got my main wall there that I built recently that I finished off. Then I've got a nice flat platform here where my fire will be here, shelter there, and I've just got something I can place my backpack on and sit on as well. So all I'm going to do is I've sharpened off 2 stakes that are about 2 foot. It's quite soft ground here, so they're about 2 foot long. Sharpened them off there. I'm going to drive a stake in here and another one up the end there just to stop these logs from rolling forward, and hopefully I've got a nice flat secure platform to sit on. Well, what can I say, guys? It was a bit of an impulse moment I had there. I was meant to actually be doing a different type of video, but I just thought, I kind of like, every time I come to the camp I want to add something new to it. So I suddenly thought, it's been raining a bit, and I thought, I've not actually got anything to sit down on. So I thought, you know what, I need to get something to sit down on. So I tried smaller logs, about this thick. Problem with that being was the seat was quite uneven. You know, I don't mind if my wall's uneven, that's fine, as long as it blocks out the wind, that's okay. But I was finding that the seat, as I did it, was uneven. So I went off to find some bigger logs of a big tree that had fallen down, and I used the old Laplander saw, the Barco Laplander. It took me about, not gonna lie, hour and a half and nearly 2 hours of sawing, solid sawing. But it's done, and it's comfy, you know, I've put the pegs in, they're solid, it's going nowhere. You know, if the pegs rot out after 6 months to a year, that's fine. It's so easy. It took me about 5-10 minutes to make the pegs, the support pegs, so that's fine. But it's nice soft ground here, so it's been really easy to get these pegs in. Got my fire reflector, got my wall here. Probably put, I say, one more layer I'll put up here of logs just to keep it off the back of my neck. Then I've got a fire here I can sit in. Obviously later towards Easter time, summertime, I'll get a bed going, a proper bed in the A-frame over here, and I'm going to probably, actually, I've got a few more logs left over, as if I don't need any more sawing, I might saw ones about 2 feet long and just fill in this gap to the side here. There's loads of other things I kind of want to add to the camp, but you know, I'd actually like you guys to kind of suggest some things to me, because it's great. I've joined some groups recently on Facebook, the Great British Bushcraft group, which is a fantastic group, some incredible bushcrafters on there, and guys who just have a wealth of knowledge. It's a really, really good group, very friendly, so I suggest you join that one if you're into bushcraft, the Great British Bushcraft group. Another one is Bushcraft for Beginners, I think it's called, another really great group. I think they do some meets and things like that on the group, so in certain counties depending on where you are, which is really cool. I've only joined it recently, but they've been really helpful on there. So I want your opinions and your views, guys. I want, you know, this is a camp I'm hoping to build up over time, so if you could give me your suggestions, I'd be really grateful, because you know, you can learn so much from other people, and you know, the horizons are endless really. But I'm thinking of maybe getting a fire pit of some sort going just here. But it's been really fun. If ever you get the chance to go out into some woodland and just build a den up over time, it's actually really, really rewarding. Especially when you start to see something come together. You know, I've had a lot of things that have gone wrong. The firewalls have fallen over, the fire reflectors, sorry, they've fallen over. The shelter at one point wasn't looking very sturdy, and I had to change logs and things like that. But you know, it's coming along now, and I think it's one of those things with bushcraft where there is no right or wrong way of doing things. There is when it comes to safety and things like that, and using sharp equipment. But when you're creating your own camp, I think there's not really a right or wrong way of doing it. I think it's a case of use your own imagination. The main thing I would say is look for a good original location of your camp, the main location of where you're going to build a shelter. I would suggest needs to be a good one. Needs to be relatively near water supply, not too near water supply, otherwise in the summer months you're going to get mosquitoes and things like that. And also water, obviously if it's a running river, it makes noise. If you're in need of help and you need an SOS call or something like that, and you've got noise and people can't hear you calling out and things like that, it's another thing to think of. So relatively near water but not too close. Flat ground, I'd say, is another one. When you're building your shelter and your walls, think of where the actual prevailing wind kind of is coming from. So the main wind direction, where's it coming from? Because you want to protect yourself from the wind. And look for deadfall around you. That's another thing. If there's lots of deadfall, you've got access to lots of material to build your shelter. You know, and I just think it's endless really, but they're the kind of basic things I thought about when I started building this base. But give me your input, guys. I want some of your feedback. Next thing, I'll tell you what, I'm going to build this little wall now. Don't waste any offcuts, guys. These are going straight in the A-frame shelter to keep them dry for when I next have a campfire. Well, as you can see, I got carried away and started to build that little third wall in the gap just there. Got a few more logs to put on top, but I'm so done with sawing today. Those of you, if you use those little pruning saws, I've literally sawn all those big logs down there, all these ones here, and a couple more on top there. Arms are killing me. I'm pretty chuffed with the amount of work I got done today. What I'm going to do now is, it's lunchtime. I've been here quite a few hours now, 4 hours I'd say. So going to get some grub on and test out the new firebox stove. So no campfire today, just going to get the firebox stove going down there hopefully, and see if I can get my energy back. But it's looking good, I have to admit, it is looking good. It's all hinged, so you don't actually, it all stays in one piece, it doesn't actually pull apart. When you fold it up, it's all hinged, which is really good. It compacts down to a really small size. And it's got like an air vent there that you can shut down and feed sticks in here. Now I've never actually lit one of these before, so I'm just going to chuck a load of sticks in. This is the first time for me. Chuck a load of these big sticks in to begin with. Like that. Probably light a bit of cotton wool, I'd say. I've got some wood chippings here as well, which I'm just going to chuck in as well, hoping that some of those might light. Some slightly smaller sticks here as well, which I'll break up and get in there. This might not work because some of these sticks, these smaller twigs especially, are fairly damp, but got to give it a go. If it doesn't work, I'm going to go hungry. I've seen them used before, and I know that they're very efficient. But we will see. Let's snap these sticks down a bit smaller actually. I store my cotton wool in a little bottle cap survival storage thing, which you can see. I'll put a link in the corner of the screen. You can see how to make this. Bit of fun, bit of recycling. Get some cotton wool out. In fact, I'll use all of that. That's some good stuff. Yeah, just really handy. They're waterproof obviously, and free to make. Just recycling some old bottle caps. Get that going. Might not work, guys, who knows? Might not work. We can only wait and see. Okay, the wood burner's going really well actually now. That firebox is really good. Once you get it going, just the air and the oxygen flow through it is really good. So, on the menu today, because I've only come for a pretty short session, Good old British beans. Can't go wrong with some Heinz baked beans. Gonna stick them in a little saucepan, mini saucepan, just a solo saucepan, and get these cooking. Get a bit of grub down me before I wind down and finish off for the day. I quite like doing kind of half days actually sometimes. It's nice, obviously I've got to edit my TA Fishing, our other YouTube channel, Totally Awesome Fishing. I've got to edit those videos as well as editing these videos, as well as doing school teaching as well. So it's very busy. So half days are generally all I can do at the moment. But let me show you the stove. It is going really well. Look at that. That is really good. Really chuffed with that. Really chuffed with that. Now that I've got a bed of embers down there, that should burn really well. And I can just add to it whenever I want. I'll let it die down a bit. If I was cooking something, you know, meat or something like that, I'd let that get a really good bed of embers, because you don't want to cook meat on flame really, you want to cook it on embers. But because it's baked beans, you know, that flame's obviously too high at the moment, so I'm going to let that all die down a bit and then get the beans on the go. Fire stick in there. They've got loads of different options on these fireboxes of different heights you can set it. I can pop my beans just there and let them roast away. Look at that, that's within seconds those beans are warming up already. Unbelievable. Really pleased with this firebox, and I hope to be cooking more on this wood gas stove in the future. Once I get my base, you know, my camp completely finished, although I don't believe a camp can ever be completely finished, but once it's pretty much finished, then I can come and, you know, focus a bit more on the cooking and a little less time actually having to get the camp built. I can just customise a few things here and there. Hopefully with the suggestions of you guys, if you can give me some suggestions as to what else to customise my camp with. But that is brilliant. And obviously while that's still in there, I've got a gap here that I can put sticks in, and I can also adjust the levels of the fire sticks there. I can, you know, use different levels. This flap here on the side also folds down if I need to let more air in. And obviously when it's hot, which it will be very hot, so I suggest be very careful guys, you can actually use, comes with 4 fire sticks, and you can actually use these fire sticks to lift. They've got hooks here, and you can lift all sorts of pots and pans out. You can use them to drag these fire sticks out here to open flaps, close flaps. You can use the fire sticks. So it's very kind of well thought through, this design. You can't beat food cooked over wood, you know, wood gas fire. You cannot beat it. If you look how hot, that's just embers. If I take that off, that's just cooling embers down there. There's an ashtray underneath, which is brilliant, because it means I don't have to clear up after myself, basically. You know, all the ash will fall onto that tray. I can dispose of that, bury it in the ground, obviously when it's cooled, and I'll pour water on it to put the fire out. But it's handy having an ashtray. It means I can use it, you know, on walks and things like that, and not have to worry about leaving a mess. But these beans are pretty much ready. If you look, that's just embers, and you can see they're bubbling away still. I'm on my new seat that I've made, my log seat. I've used my new wood gas stove, my wood gas burner, which is really good. Could life get any better? Well, I suppose I could add some sausages to these beans.